guys, welcome back to Days of Darkness, and welcome to my review of Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. Now, this movie came out in 1988. It's starring Larpark Lincoln, Terry Kisser, Susan Blue, and Kevin Spiritas, and was directed by John Carl Buechler. I'm not very good at the name thing today. Anyways, oh man. I usually come into these reviews with a lot of enthusiasm, and I am happy to be talking about this movie today, especially because, spoiler alert, I'm going to rip it apart. But I gotta be honest, guys, this is going to be a rough one to talk about. God, I don't like this movie. And I know that may be a sin, because some Friday the 13th fans really love this one, and I'm not sure why. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but from the MPAA just completely butchering this film, and I'll talk about that more later on, and just there's so much shit wrong with this movie. There is some good aspects of it. I am able to, take myself out of it for a second and at least see some of the good aspects that this movie has, and they are there. Unfortunately, they're just few and far between, so little spoiler alert here. Ironic that I say that. I don't think for this one we're really doing a spoiler-free spoiler section, because outright, I'm just gonna say I don't recommend you see this movie. I don't. To me, as I've said before, the Friday the 13th story is part 1 through part 6, and that's it. So for me, obviously, I'm going to give you the spoiler warning now, because some people still would like to see this movie if they haven't, and that's fine. And I'm going to respect that and give you the spoiler warning now, but we're just going to be getting into the spoilers right away, because there's really not a whole lot to talk about here without getting into spoilers. So anyways, we're just going to go, what's the good stuff and what's the bad stuff. So we're experimenting a little bit here. Let's go ahead and get into the good shit. Alright, so right off the bat, we have to talk about Kane Hodder. His debut as Jason Voorhees. I don't use the term horror legend very much, but he's one of them. There's no doubt in my mind. Now, I've said in the past, because I know someone will call me on it, I've said in the past that he is not my favorite Jason. He's not my favorite actor to put on the hockey mask. That would be Ted White in part 4. Because, I just have a fanboy boner about that movie. And I stick by that opinion. I think Ted White's the best Jason ever. However, as far as passion for the character and passion for that role, when people tell me that they think Kane Hodder is the best Jason ever, I have no problem with that. Because first of all, like I said before, everyone's entitled to their opinion. But I have no problem with people saying that, because this guy is the only guy to play Jason Voorhees more than once in an official capacity. I know Vincent DeSanti has played Jason multiple times too in his films, which we may or may not be talking about at some point. But man, 4 times. Yeah, part 7, part 8, part 9, and then Jason. Yeah, I'm good at math. But anyways, the guy just brings an amazing presence to that role. I can't really say anything that hasn't already been said. The guy's just amazing as Jason, and he brings so much emotion to that role and so much anger, and it's very difficult to act under a mask. It's very, very hard to convey emotion. And damn, Kane Hodder just does an incredible job, and he is the only reason why this movie is remotely watchable. If they would have gotten just some shitty fucking guy to do it and just lumber around with a machete, this movie would be dog shit. This movie would be unwatchable, in my opinion, because I think everything else in this movie is fucking horrible. I honestly, like, I fucking do not like this movie. The only reason I would ever even consider watching this again, besides like running through it with somebody, is because of Kane. Because Kane does an incredible job in this. Speaking of Jason, the character Jason, I think Jason looks incredible in this. People say that this is their favorite look for Jason Voorhees, the swampy, you know, broken mask. You can see the teeth and shit. He's just disgusting looking, and I really like the look of him. Again, it's a shame that he has to be in such a dog shit movie like this, but I do I do think Jason looks pretty damn cool. Not my favorite look for him, but it's definitely up there. I really like this look. And that's pretty much it. It's pretty. Oh, well, I think the stuff in the third act because there's a telepathic girl in this, and we'll get in more of the story and the bad shit because the story is the bad shit. But the telepathic shit at the end when it's basically Carrie versus Jason, but they couldn't use Carrie, so they have Tina. Basically all it is. I think the third act really holds any type of entertainment value possible. I think the stunt work from Kane Hodder is incredible. Just him falling through the stairs and getting bashed in the face with the light bulb and getting set on fire. It's great. It's some of the best stunt work in the whole series, honestly. Really enjoyed that stuff. I can take myself away from my hatred of this movie and admit that that stuff is pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie to you. Seeing Jason get thrown around is pretty fucking great. And yeah, other than that, there's like a cool shot of Jason, you know, with the thunder and lightning and all that shit, and you can briefly see him in the background as some pointless random dumb characters walking through the fucking kitchen. But other than that, let's just get to the bad shit and get this over with already. Everything else. That's all. Alright, I guess I'll talk about it. So we start out, the timeline is immediately fucked. There's no effort to try and make it make sense with the rest of the series. It's still the 80s somehow. Jason is, there's no real indication of when this takes place. It takes place after part 6, obviously, but there's no cohesive timeline anymore. It's just, well, let's just have him under there again and just have some random girl come up. There's no indication of how long it's been, which I know continuity is not this series' strong suit. I get that, but at least before there was some sort of attempt. There was some kind of effort put in, you know? In this, it's just, fuck it, whatever. Case in point, when we get to this first scene, the place is just called Crystal Lake again. I guess they just figured, well, fuck it. He's gonna come back eventually anyways. Might as well just rename it what it was originally named. Just stupid. Anyways, so we get audio. We can hear a man abusing his wife while the child is screaming like, I hate you and all this shit. And the child runs out and the dad runs after her. And he's like, oh, baby, I'm sorry, and yada yada. Just all that fucking bullshit abusers say. And, you know, she ain't having it. She's on a boat in the middle of Crystal Lake, and she uses her telekinetic powers to make the dock collapse and kills her dad. And then is immediately devastated, no longer hates him, is just so sad. I guess, I mean, I get it. It'd be pretty traumatizing to kill your parent no matter what, but that's still pretty, it's just a very drastic shift. I wouldn't feel bad for anybody who thinks it's okay to beat on their wife. And yeah, I was like, okay, cool, he's dead, whatever. Like usually that type of person would be framed as the asshole, which makes the ending of this movie, which we will get to, even more fucking confusing. But anyways, um, so it goes to her as a young adult, college age woman. Her name's Tina, by the way, and her and Mrs. Shepard are driving up to the very place where all of this happened because her doctor, Dr. Cruz, thinks that that's gonna help her somehow. Not sure how that would work. I get maybe like you can get some closure, but other than that, I feel like that would be pretty rough. Really, all it is he's trying to exploit her telekinetic powers, and that's a whole fucking subplot in the movie. Which, that there seems like if this wasn't a Friday the 13th movie and you didn't have to have Jason in it, I feel like that could be a cool kind of thing. I feel like that could be a solid movie. It's not a good movie and it's not handled well, but I feel like as far as story, that's probably the best like aspect of the story is that whole feud between her and Dr. Cruz. Really has nothing to do with Jason at all until the end, you know. But man, it's just something that's shoehorned, and at the same time, all of these kids are just there now, and they're having a party for this guy that gets killed off, doesn't even get to go, and they're like having a birthday party, and I guess this would be a good time to get into those characters. They're all fucking awful. I usually try and put forth some effort and remember the names, at least for a while. I know at the beginning of my channel I didn't at all, but I didn't see any point here. They're all cookie cutter fucking stupid bullshit. You know, you got the bitchy character, the blonde, you got the two, like the bad boy who these two girls are after. One of the girls is, you know, nerdy, and one of the girls is a little less nerdy, and like you have this sci-fi nerd who's just overtly fucking like cringe worthy. And it's like they just made him so horrible. And as a sci-fi nerd myself, I felt pretty insulted. I'm like, is that what they think we just talk about all the time? We're just always like going up to people and pitching them like story ideas, which I do sometimes, but not all the fucking time, like this guy does. But man, like in all honesty though, they just did a horrible fucking job with that character. That character could have been pretty charming and funny, and oh god, he's just terrible. He's awful. And there's a bunch of like little subplots, like these people are trying to hook up and all this. It's just a bunch of fucking stupid shit, and it doesn't matter. And it was just handled. None of them are good. Like, I know how intimidating it can be to get in front of a camera. I've done it before myself, multiple times actually. So I will never just overtly be like, oh, this actor is dog shit and they should stop and they should quit their job. I don't believe in doing that because I know how intimidating it can be and how rough it can be, but I also have to be fair because I am reviewing this movie. None of them are very good. The bitchy character, I think her name's Michelle. I'm gonna go with Michelle. I could be wrong, and I don't care if I am. she's like, she does the bitch character too rough. Like, she's so cartoony. That's what it is. All of these characters are extremely cheesy and cartoony, even for the Friday the 13th franchise. We've gotten some hokey characters before, don't get me wrong. I'm well aware of the movie series I'm talking about here, but this was, when you have every fucking character like that, it becomes a little much for me. Either they're hokey and cartoony, or they're fucking boring. It's one of the two. Nick is the only somewhat redeemable one, because that's the dude who ends up, you know, him and Tina kind of end up hooking up, even though their chemistry isn't there at all. But man, just, I'll stop. But the characters are just not good. And yeah, and this, not only that, the movie feels thrown together. It feels, like I said, the timeline's completely off. Just lazy writing. It doesn't make any sense. Tina and Nick's first interaction, you would think, well, she kind of like doesn't like him at first, and you're like, okay, maybe then they're just gonna kind of gradually grow to like each other, and you know, and when Jason comes up, they'll bond, and then in the end they'll kiss, and you know, whatever, happy ending. No, the next time she sees him, she's just all of a sudden smitten with him, when her first interaction was horrible and terrible, and like just all of a sudden she just likes him, just out of nowhere. It just doesn't make any sense, man. Just doesn't make any fucking sense. Tina's arc really doesn't, I just don't like, again, the whole idea of her mourning her dad, which I get it to an extent, obviously. I know, like, abusive relationships can be a difficult subject, and I don't think this movie has any place to make commentary on abusive relationships at all. But I get it's not as cut and dry as it would be for an audience member saying, oh, he's an abusive piece of shit. Yes, he is. But it can be a little more difficult for like an actual person in that situation. But anyways, I'm giving this film way more credit than it deserves. But just the idea of her, like, she's just not that interesting to me. Like, the psychic powers, it's a Friday the 13th movie. Just make her either a strong, independent woman at the end, or kill her off. Like, it's not I don't get it, man. I think that it's just, I don't even know how to talk about it, in all honesty. So I'm just gonna stop. But yeah, Tina is just not that great of a character. I think her motivations and her arc and her, it's just, there is no like arc. She really doesn't learn anything or doesn't develop as a character. She's just there, and she has psychic powers, and she's messed up because her dad died. That's it. I've talked about this way more than I anticipated, so we're gonna move on. And we'll just go to the fucking ending. Man, oh man. And we'll talk about the biggest problem with this movie. Not the biggest problem, but one of the biggest problems with this being a slasher film. But the ending, the third act's cool, like I mentioned before. Tina actually using, again, that's another part of her arc, is all of a sudden she just knows how to use her powers. The whole time she's like, she's not really sure, and it's when she's emotionally vulnerable or emotionally distressed, all of a sudden shit starts moving. And then all of a sudden she sees Jason, and she's just able to do it. And it's all good, and it's all fine. And my tripod, it's not a tripod, it keeps messing up. Please hold. Okay. Much like Friday the 13th Part 7, this review is trying everything it can to go off the rails, but goddamn it, I am not going to let that happen. So we're just going to carry on. Anyways. So, but yeah, she ends up just all of a sudden knowing how to use her powers. We get some really cool Jason versus Carrie moments, as I had mentioned earlier. Some really cool stunt work from Kane Hodder. I forgot to mention that at the beginning, when she comes back to the lake, she accidentally ends up resurrecting Jason with her psychic powers, and that's how he comes back. Whatever. So at the end, that this like final battle between the two, it immediately, like, I'm able to have fun with some of the shit that happens between those two. Like, it's just a crazy, wacky 80s horror movie final battle, which I'm cool with. But then it immediately fucking gets ruined by the ending of this movie. So they end up making their way out to Crystal Lake, and she ends up again becoming emotionally distressed and resurrecting her dad, who is completely okay, is not decomposed whatsoever, and he just drags Jason under the lake. And that's it. That's after all the shit that happens to Jason, that's what kills him. Just fucking stupid. God. Oh, this movie, man. This movie is, obviously, I don't recommend you see it, but it's something that should be seen at least once. Because you need to understand how bad this is. But anyways, I know people say part 8 is like the worst in the series, or like part 8 and part 9. I'm curious to see what I think, because I haven't watched part 8 and part 9 for a long time. I know they're not great. I'm going into that with the expectation of that, so my expectations are very low. However, I think you might be surprised, maybe, because this one's bad. This one's bad, guys. That'll do it for the actual review portion of this review. However, and I'm not going to go into this with as much enthusiasm, we still have to talk about the blood, the guts, the gore, the gory bits, the good stuff. We have to talk about my kill of the film. Friday the 13th, Part 7 is known for many bad things, but one thing that the fans hate more than anything, and one thing for me that I think could have saved this movie, not completely, but I think could have helped it a lot, at least with me, because everyone knows by this point I like my blood and my gore. The MPAA at this stage was sensitive as hell, and the original kills that we got in Friday the 13th Part 7 were pretty solid. I've seen the test footage of them, and they're pretty cool. They're not like amazing or anything, but they're at least, apologies for the dog in the background, I can't do anything about it. I've been trying for years. Anyways, they're pretty solid kills, but when the MPAA got a hold of them, they were told that they're too graphic, they're too gory, which doesn't make sense, because like in the very next in the very next movie, you get a guy getting his fucking head punched off, not cut off, boom, and his head flies off, which, spoiler alert for my kill of the film for Part 8. Oh, but anyways, basically they hacked these kills to shit, and they look like they were made for a made-for-TV movie. They're just not good. The kills in this movie are abysmal. The MPAA was like, yo, these are too graphic, you gotta cut it up, and they hacked this movie to shit. Not cool. For kill of the film, my honorable mentions, the axe in the head is cool. I think it's a bloodless kill. There's no blood to be had whatsoever, but it is like he sinks an axe into this girl's head. It's the bitchy character, Michelle, I think her name is again. But he sinks an axe into her head, grabs her, and just throws her across the room. So that's a pretty cool one. My kill of the film by default, though, is going to be the sleeping bag kill. It's the best kill of this movie, which isn't saying a whole lot. People like shit their pants over this kill. I don't know why. I mean, it's cool. It's cool to see him just like this girl's just hiding in a sleeping bag. Jason drags her out and just smacks her against a tree, and she dies. It's it's fine. It's a cool kill. It's my kill of the film. It's the best one here, which isn't saying a whole lot. It's just a shame, man, because there were going to be some really cool kills in this one. One of the dudes, Jason grabs him by the head, and like you get to see the first stage of him kind of doing it, but in the uncut version, he literally just squashes his head to like the size of a fucking grape. Which is pretty gnarly, man, and like that's what this movie needed, was just stupid, over the top, crazy kills like that. It would have done this movie a lot of favors, but you know, the MPAA, right? Oh man. Well, guys, that'll do it for part 7. I can't talk about this movie a whole lot more. Do I recommend you see this movie? No. If you're a Friday the 13th fan, I think it's kind of essential viewing just to make you more grateful for parts 1 through 6. But yeah, part 7's not a good one, guys. But yeah, that'll be it for this. Next time, we're going to be talking about Friday the 13th part 8. That's right. 8 movies at this point. And there are more after 8. this series did not know how to die. But anyways, guys, we're going to be looking at Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. Alright, guys. Have a good rest of your day. Take care of each other. And keep watching horror. As long as it's not The New Blood. Alright, guys. Have a good one.